They were outnumbered more than 100 to 1. They knew they would die, and still, they marched forward. This is the real story behind the 300 Spartans, a battle so legendary that even today it echoes across history. But what truly happened at Thermopylae? Who were these warriors? And why did they choose to make a stand that would guarantee their deaths? Let's dive into the true history behind one of the most heroic last stands ever recorded. To understand the Battle of Thermopylae, we must first understand the people who fought it. Sparta wasn't like other Greek cities. There was no interest in luxury, art, or philosophy. Sparta was built for one purpose: war. Every Spartan boy entered the agoge, brutal military training system around age 7. They learned endurance, discipline, obedience, and fearlessness. They slept on reeds, trained with limited food, and suffered harsh punishments to harden them into warriors. By adulthood, a Spartan wasn't simply a soldier. He was a weapon. Their code was simple and unforgiving: come back with your shield or on it. Meaning, win or die trying. This mindset explains why the 300 Spartans did not hesitate when their king called them to what was essentially a suicide mission. Across the sea, the Persian Empire had become one of the largest the world had ever seen. Under King Xerxes, the empire stretched from Egypt to India. Xerxes had one goal: conquer Greece and add it to his empire. He assembled an enormous army. Ancient sources claim 1 million soldiers, though historians estimate hundreds of thousands. Still, it was the most massive army Greece had ever faced. Greece, divided into rival city-states, knew that if they didn't unite, they would fall. So they formed the Hellenic League, and Sparta's king Leonidas was chosen to lead the resistance. But there was a problem. A major religious festival, the Carnea, prevented Sparta from sending its full army. So Leonidas chose 300 elite warriors, all of them men with living sons, so Spartan bloodlines would survive. This wasn't a military campaign. It was a message: we will stand even if we fall. The Greek strategy was brilliant. They chose to make their stand at Thermopylae, meaning the Hot Gates. It was a narrow pass surrounded by cliffs on one side and the sea on the other. At some points, only a few men could fight side by side. This meant the massive Persian army could not use its numbers. They would have to attack in waves. Leonidas knew this geography would turn the battle into a choke point, a place where 300 could resist thousands. The Greeks built a defensive wall, sharpened their spears, locked their shields, and waited. When Xerxes arrived and saw how small the Greek force was, he expected them to surrender. Instead, the Spartans calmly combed their hair, polished their shields, and prepared for battle. This act shocked the Persians. But for Spartans, preparing their appearance before death was a tradition. It was their way of saying, "We do not fear you." The Persians launched their attack. Wave after wave, soldiers charged the narrow pass only to be crushed by the disciplined Spartan phalanx formation. Shields locked, spears thrust forward. Every movement practiced thousands of times. The Persians were not used to fighting in such confined space. Their numbers became useless. Bodies piled up, slowing their advance even further. Xerxes grew frustrated. So he sent his elite unit, the Immortals, Persia's finest soldiers. But even they were pushed back. The Spartans used a technique called feigned retreat, pretending to fall back, then turning suddenly to strike with lethal precision. For 2 full days, the Greeks held the pass. The world's strongest empire. Stopped by a few thousand Greeks and 300 Spartans. But then everything changed. A Greek trader named Ephialtes approached Xerxes with devastating information. There was a hidden mountain trail that bypassed the pass and allowed the Persians to surround the Greek army from behind. Xerxes seized the opportunity. He sent troops along the trail under the cover of night. By morning, Leonidas realized he was trapped. He had 2 choices: retreat or fulfill his duty. He chose to stay. Leonidas dismissed most of the Greek allies to save their lives, but the Spartans stayed, along with 700 Thespians and 400 Thebans who refused to leave. Leonidas is said to have told his men, "Eat well, for tonight we dine in Hades." The final fight was brutal. The Greeks fought with broken spears, then swords, then hands and teeth as they were overwhelmed. Leonidas was killed, and a fierce struggle erupted around his body as the Spartans tried to protect their fallen king. By midday, every Spartan lay dead. But their sacrifice was not in vain. The stand at Thermopylae gave Greece the time it needed to unite, eventually defeating Persia in the battles of Salamis and Plataea. The Persians won the pass, but the Spartans won immortality. Their courage became a symbol of resistance against impossible odds. And that's the true story behind the 300 Spartans. Not just a battle, but a message to history. Even the greatest empire can be challenged by a handful of determined warriors. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, be sure to like and subscribe for more stories like this one.